Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer. This is Ralph Phillips, a very sad Ralph Phillips, a very angry Ralph Phillips. Sangry. I'm very sangry, sad and angry. It sucks. It just sucks. You know, I've been feeling, well, really all week, but definitely watching the game against the Falcons and Saints, and just watching it, you just knew the Falcons were going to win that game. Yeah, had more to play for, all that good stuff, but they were the better team. And then when they eventually won and the Buccaneers were officially out of the playoffs, I was just sad and angry. Sad and angry. What's up, guys? What's up, G-Dub? Craig, what's going on, man? Yeah, first day of a long season, brother. This is going to be a rough one. This is going to be a rough off season. There's just so much that I feel like needs to be done, and I think so little that's going to get done. You know, we're going to be looking at, don't know. We'll talk about all of it. Craig, yeah, team woefully underperformed, man. I mean, how do you, so much to say. How do you go from 6-2 to what were we, 8-9? How do you do that? Now, Raheem Morris in 2011 had a horrible slide, lost 11 games in a row. This kind of felt like that. Although, with the Raheem Morris, the team quit on him. There's no doubt about that. And that was the worst football I've ever watched, was that 2011. But this, I didn't feel like the team quit until week 17. That was the only game, the Dolphins, where I felt like they just quit, at least the defense. I was very surprised that they came out and won against the Panthers. I really was. I expected them to not really care. From everything I'd watched on film and then everything I'd been hearing about in the locker room and everything, it just seems like these were guys that were just ready to go home. They were just ready to, finish out the season and go on their vacations and all that good stuff. But to have a collapse of such a magnitude after so much potential, and this was a team that was hurt and limping. We had major injuries basically to start the season. And remember, Tristan Wirfs didn't even, he shocked everybody by just, getting surgery late. And then, we had a slew of people get injured immediately. And we still won. We were still winning. And we won against the 49ers. We won against the Texans. We won against the Seahawks. And that was the best game of the year that I've watched, that I watched all year long. I mean, that's not even saying as a Bucs fan. I'm talking about just good game. That was a great game. And then just the collapse afterwards it's unacceptable. It really is. From coaching, players, everybody. It was just unacceptable. And it hurts. It's sad. It makes me sad. And, I referenced this in a video a while back, after one of the losses. I was talking about how it just seems like, why is it that I, as a fan, have more interest in this team winning and have more enthusiasm than I see with any of the players or the coaches? And they're getting paid millions of dollars. I'm actually spending money, and you just get, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I mean, could you imagine if we were paid as fans? Say you made, any money, actually, $20 would be fine. But I don't know, thousands of dollars every Sunday to watch this team play. Do you imagine how amped up you would be? And I just don't see it with these guys. And I don't see it with the coaching staff, definitely. There are some coaches and players you can see on the sideline that are amped up and everything. But generally, it's just not there. We'll get into that a little bit here in a second, but it's just, this time of year sucks because it's like football's over with, at least for the Buccaneers. I didn't even want to watch football yesterday. I didn't really watch much after the Saints lost. I just kind of sat there on my phone, which that rarely happens. I'm just kind of over it, and then I'm going to go into hibernation after the season, after the Super Bowl, I'll just kind of do yard work and stuff. But, it's different. It's different if you lose, like losing the Rams game, in the 2021 season. That was tough. That hurt. But you walked away with pride. You know what I'm saying? We're not walking away with pride on this one. I've got family coming in a week this Friday, and they're Panthers fans. I'm going to have to put up with this. I'm going to have to wear a dress of shame, or do walk of shame or something. And I'm going to have to hear about it from them. And then not only that, but I ended up being the sacco in my fantasy football, my money league this year, which has never happened to me. I knew I was going to have a bad year because of the baby and everything, but man, it's just a bad year for me in football. And this just sucks. It sucks. Congrats to the fantasy football winners and the Buccaneers Observer Fantasy Football Creamsicle Crushers. Did crush it. Adam, you did a good job. Second place was the Animals, Danny Spies, and third place was our very own Rampage on the Hunt. Congratulations, guys. You did good. We're going to ramp it up this offseason and get more people. I want a 12-man team fantasy league, so we're going to get more people this offseason. The score prediction winners, I still haven't figured it out. I got to go back through and look at all that, so we'll do that in the offseason. Yeah, I apologize. I was just as guilty as this team. Doing the Buccaneers Observer, I talked about it. I've been complaining about them, but at the same time, I haven't put in as much effort as I need to with this channel. That's going to change. I'm going to pull a Todd Bowles. I'm going to do an off-season evaluation, and we'll look into it, and we just got to coach it better and execute better. There it is. That's the off-season. Ralph looking weary. Hey, Molly. What's everybody saying over here? I was very surprised with the win against the Panthers. I'll tell you that. I thought the team would quit the week before, and this was going to be a loss. And then we came out lost. But it shouldn't have been as close as it was. Panthers had a chance to beat us, man. It's kind of like the Steelers-Baltimore game last night. Wow, how crushing was that for the Ravens? Yes, I did watch the press conference, Zachary. What's up, Zach? What do I think is going to happen? Okay, we can get into that. On Coach Bowles, I was going to wait till more people got in here to talk about it, but we'll just go ahead and talk about it. We'll probably repeat it 5 times anyhow. On Coach Bowles, I'll say this. The Glazers are extremely unpredictable. They always have been. They always will be. They have never fired a coach on Black Monday, ever. This goes all the way back to when Malcolm was still around. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team has never fired a coach on Black Monday. They did fire Cutter on Sunday before Black Monday. They fired him like 3 hours after the game, but they met with him first, and that's the key. That's the key. The Glazers always meet with coaches, or at least this group of Glazers. They always meet with the coaches before they fire them, and they haven't met with Todd Bowles yet. And he referenced that in his press conference that they were going to meet this week and do their year-end evaluation. And Todd Bowles, I kind of got the impression that he was given on the press conference, he was kind of putting out there the reasons why he shouldn't be fired to the Glazers. He was saying things like, well, we're going to do an evaluation. I got to look at my scheme. We got to look at the coaches and all that good stuff. And then he said, I've won 3 straight NFC titles or NFC conference or NFC division titles. He said, I think I deserve another chance, basically is what he said. He wasn't saying that to fans, and he wasn't saying it to the reporters. I think he was saying it to ownership. His job is not safe yet. His job is not safe yet. The Glazers are extremely unpredictable. They do weird stuff. They've always got something cooking in the back rooms, always. They just fired their coach of Manchester United. If you don't know, they're owners of Manchester United over in Europe. The Brits, the Britons, who hate them because they just can't get Manchester United back to its glory days. But they just fired the coach over there. So I can't see them firing Todd Bowles right away. It's just too much coach firing. Do I think they're going to fire him? I said this in my instant reaction after the Falcons game, I think it was, that I don't see how they don't. And I stand by that. I don't see how they don't. This was a collapse. It was an embarrassment. The fan base is totally turned against Bowles. The people talk about, he signed a contract and all that good stuff, an extension, everything. That's nothing to the Glazers. It's like $6 million. That's nothing. It's nothing. They'll happily pay that. They are going to demand changes. Even if they keep Todd Bowles, they're going to demand changes. They're not going to settle for this again. I don't think they've liked how it's gone. I don't think they've liked that they've lost Liam Cohen. I don't think they've liked that they lost Dave Canales. I don't think they like that the defense has sucked ever since Todd Bowles has been head coach. I don't think they like that we have backed into the playoffs every year. We've needed help to get there. And this is the one year that it just didn't work out for us. They don't like this mess. They don't like this mess. People talk about the Glazers are money hungry. They're not interested in winning and all that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that at all. They don't need money. I mean, they're billionaires. Most of these team owners don't need money. They're very competitive people. They like having the team because it's fun to them. It's fun. It's literally fantasy football for them. I don't play fantasy football because it's, going to put food on my table. I do it because it's fun. And most of these owners are like that. These teams are just fantasy football, but in real life to them. And, they don't need the money. The Glazers don't need the money. If they wanted, if it was all about money to them, they would have sold this team 5 years ago when it was like worth a lot of money. It's still worth a lot of money now. It's worth a lot more than they paid for it, for sure. So I don't think that they're being greedy. I don't think that the head coach extension has any effect whatsoever on what their decision is going to be. But I think if Todd Bowles does stay here, it's going to be under the condition that some serious changes are going to be made. But I don't think that they're going to keep him. I really don't. If they do, the only thing that I think that would keep them to keep Todd Bowles is the firing of the Manchester United coach and them have to deal with that. They might be like, we'll just let Bowles get another year. And if he doesn't perform very well, we're going to get rid of him. But either way, there's going to be a lot of changes that need to be made. And one of the changes will probably be he's got to stop calling defense. Because it's just not working, dude. It's not working. Look, I got like one question into it and I'm already. As far as, his excuses with injuries, that is a no, that's a non, all teams deal with injuries. Look at the Detroit Lions last year, most injured team in the history of the NFL, I think. And they went, 15-2, made it to the playoffs, won their division. Look at the 49ers this year. Look at the 49ers this year. They went half their season without their starting quarterback. They lost Nick Bosa for the season. They lost their first round draft pick for the season. Who else did they miss? Pearsall, Kittle, Warner. He might make it back though for the playoffs. Huff, Jennings. The 49ers were decimated. Look at them. They almost won their division against Seattle. And what they go, 12-5 or 12-5, something like that. Injuries are no excuse. You got to deal with them. You got to deal with them. You know, the problem with Todd Bowles, and we've been saying this, he's a clipboard carrier. He's more focused on his scheme. He thinks his scheme is going to win games. Scheme never wins games, ever. I don't think it's ever won a game. I've been watching football for so many years, and I'll tell you what wins the games, and this is why I focus on it when I watch all 22, is the players. You know, the guys on the field have winning the one-on-one matchups. You can have the best scheme on the planet, and if the players can't execute it, like Todd Bowles says, what good is the scheme? That's why it drives me crazy with Todd Bowles always saying, we just got to execute it better. No, if the guys are not executing your scheme, the scheme is the problem. You know, we've been listening to this for what, 3 years, 4 years about they gotta execute it better. No, they don't. It's your scheme. That's the problem. And you're not tough. This defense is not tough. The offense is tougher than the defense. I'll tell you that. Watching these games, you see the offense. I see Sterling Shepard and McMillan and little Tej Johnson getting out there and shoving guys and pushing guys and stuff like that more than I see the defense. Matter of fact, I saw the defense fight each other more this year than I did them fighting other teams. And like I said, when was the last time you remember seeing this defense with a decleating tackle? I can't remember. The last time. Because we don't coach tackling. It's not part of the scheme. You know, it's all about the scheme. You know, he's too cerebral. You know, he's one of those guys that thinks that he's going to win football teams by beating the opponent with smarts. Football is not about smarts. It's a part of it. It's just like I say all the time with statistics and all these analytics. And, you know, it's like the fantasy football guys. That's a tool. You know, when it comes down to it, football is all about beating the guy in front of you, getting off blocks and tackling. That's football. You know, I'm a big fan of Lombardi, you know, his saying that fatigue makes cowards of us all. You know, and I was talking to this with Molly. I've been in situations where I've been so tired and fatigued that if you would have come up to me with I was going to say a pew-pew, but I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. If you would have come up to me and said, I'm going to, you know, end your life, I would have said, okay, I can't get up. I can't move anymore. I'm just tired. I've been to those points. I know what it's like, you know, and I see it, you know, with these guys have that same attitude sometimes where they're just like, let's just get this over with and go in the locker room, you know. And we don't have that mentality where we're going to out smash mouth the other guys, you know. We just don't have it. And you got to have that to win in football. You've got to. It's why on this channel, when I do all 22, I don't focus on the routes and the scheme on defense or offense as much as I do the man-on-man stuff, the Jimmies and Joes, because to me, that's what matters. You can get neck deep in the defensive schemes, you know, who's supposed to be what, where? Is this cover 3? Is the robber coming down? You know, are they shadowing? Is this you know, and especially offense, man, you watch offensive guys. I mean, they're just like, you know, they'll break the routes down and the blocking schemes and all that good stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can have the best schemes in the world, but if one guy or a couple of guys can't do it or get beat, scheme doesn't matter. Well, you have to have good schemes, and that can't be the focus. The focus has got to be, you got to have a tough football team, and we don't have one, especially our defense. That's why I focus so much on Jimmys and Joes. If you got a guy that can beat the guy in front of him, that's what matters. That's what matters. getting off blocks, blocking guys, tackling, avoiding tackles. That's what matters. The best scheme in the world is crap if it can't be executed. And it's like Mike Tyson used to say, or said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And how many times have we seen this with this defense? They'll go out there and then bam, they get punched in the face. There's a blown coverage and somebody scores a touchdown and then our defense just collapses because they got punched in the face and they can't handle it. We got a cerebral coach coaching defense. Offense, it's not as bad. Dirk Cutter, it wasn't as bad. He was a cerebral coach too. But defense, you can't have that because then you end up with a soft defense and you end up with guys who get confused what they're supposed to be doing. Now, defense is hard. Defense is a heck of a lot harder than offense. In every sport, in the military and everything, defense is hard. Offense can do whatever they want to do. Defense has to react to it. Defense has to, be on their toes all the time. And defense is hard, just defense itself. And then when you throw in a bunch of complex crap on top of it, it makes it dang near impossible to do. And that's what we've done. We've got guys like Levante David. Levante David is a pure football player, pure instinctive football player. He plays football because he loves football and he's good at football. That's Levante David. Levante David can read an offense and he goes out there and he makes the tackles. He's where he's supposed to be. And it's not because he's being taught that. It's because he knows football. He's just a football guy, and Vita Vea is the same way. Vita Vea is the type of player that you just go, see that guy with the ball? Go get him. Get the guy with the ball. Vita Vea, I saw an interview with him, and me and Molly used to laugh all the time when Vita Vea first came on the team, because every time he talked, he'd say, learning. I'm learning. It's a lot of learning. It was hilarious. But looking back on it now, I see how detrimental it was because they're trying to get these pure football players to be cerebral guys. And they're not. They should. It's not working. You don't want Levante David to stop and think about what he's doing. You want Levante David to analyze, see it, and do it. That's how he is. That's how he's always been. That's why he was so good in college. That's why he was so good with the Buccaneers for so many years, because they just, here's the football, go get it. But Todd Bowles wants him doing all this crazy, stupid stuff. And he's done the same thing with Vita Vea. Vita Vea, go listen to my podcast in 2018, when Vita Vea was drafted. And I watched him. I was probably 5 or 6 games into watching his game film. And I was like, holy crap, this guy is amazing. He's unstoppable. I mean, literally unstoppable. Nobody could stop him. The problem was he was having so much fun throwing offensive linemen around that he wasn't paying attention to the ball. And I was like, when he starts focusing on getting the ball, he's going to be amazing. And he was. But then every year, it seems like he's just gotten, I don't want to say worse, but less effective, And he talked about it in an interview. He said, when Todd Bowles came in, he handed me a playbook that was this thick. And Vita was like, what is this? And Bowles was like, this is your defensive playbook. You need to learn it. And Vita was like, I've never had a playbook. I go after the ball. That's what I do. And he was just like, it took him years to understand what Todd Bowles wanted out of it. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Bowles is the clipboard carrier, and it's like with fantasy football, you get these fantasy. What's up, Floyd? Appreciate it, brother. You get these guys who are into fantasy football, and they're always like, oh, well, if we just get this guy from this team who scores this many points and add him to our team, then it'll be great. He'll add that many points. And you're like, no, that's not how it works, because, some guys just don't mesh with the locker room. Some guys don't have the oomph. There might be guys on that team that he's with now that have the oomph that kind of protect him. And you bring him in here and we don't have that oomph that he needs for protection, and he's just going to get beat up or whatever. There's just all kinds of stuff that goes on. It's not just a numbers game. Never has been, never will be. And unfortunately, Bowles is that type of coach. He thinks it's a numbers game. There was a report, Pewter Report did, got to give them credit for this. They said that there were veteran players who confided in Pewter Report that they did not like all the walkthrough practices that we did this year. And I talked about it a while back about how pissed off I was that he gave them a week off during the bye. And then after we lost, I think it was the Falcons game, he gave them 3 days off. I was furious. I was like, what are you doing? It's like Jamel Dean. And he did the same thing with Devin White. It's like Jamel Dean. I said, I don't want to see Jamel Dean in a Buccaneers uniform ever again. And I loved Jamel Dean. I think he had but Jamel Dean is useless. He can't stay on the field. He doesn't have what it takes. And to keep putting him out there over top of guys who are trying to get jobs and all this good stuff. And granted, Jamel Dean might be the better player, but it sends a horrible message to the team if you're going to have a guy who's going to get hurt every game and come out and, in times when we really need him to play, he's going to go, oh no, my hip hurts or my shoulder hurts or my leg hurts or whatever, and quit. That's a horrible message to the team. And you're going to keep putting him out there, putting him out there, putting him out there. That sends a horrible message to the team. And anyhow, the Pewter Report had a write-up on these veteran defenders. Now, these are guys on defense who said that they didn't want to go on record because they don't know. I think a lot of stuff's going to come out if Todd Bowles does get fired, that they did not like all the walkthrough practices. And the Pewter Report did a good job of breaking down all the walkthrough practices and how they really increased after the bye week. And it didn't make any sense because you were getting healthier after the bye week, but yet you were doing more walkthrough practices. And they said that Bowles is a cerebral coach. Okay, they did say that. Good job. They put too much stock into mental reps and thinking about what to do instead of actually out there tackling and hitting and running and all that good stuff. And then Bucs outside linebacker, he did go on the record and said that the walkthrough practices were detrimental to the team and that was something he was going to talk to Todd Bowles about. And it's just a product of being soft. It's a soft mentality. And Todd Bowles has got a soft mentality, And it's made our defense soft. I did like Yaya stepping up. I did like his interview, and I did like some of the things I've heard coming out of his mouth. He apparently really wants to be a captain next year, and he was saying, I'm going to start saying things to people. I don't care if they like it or not, which I liked. I was like, that's how you got to be. You got to be willing to be the jerk, man. And I wonder if JPP rubbed off on him a little bit. JPP probably told him, said, dude, man, stop trying to be nice. I absolutely loved that. I showed y'all that clip of JPP clobbering that wide receiver in the back, just forearming him in the helmet. Wham! And then the guy got up and was like getting ready to bow up, and JPP turned around and looked at him, and the guy realized who it was and turned around and walked away. I was like, that's what we need on this team. That's what you need, man. You got to have defensive players like that. Guys that you're going to be scared of. We don't have any of that. So I do appreciate Pewter Report putting that article out. I've really liked their reporting this year. I think they've done a good job. So do I think the Glazers are going to fire Todd Bowles? Yes, I do. I'm still sticking with that. They've never fired a coach on Black Monday, and they've never fired a coach without first meeting with them. And I think they're going to meet with Todd Bowles. And Todd Bowles has said he hasn't met with ownership yet, and they're going to do it this week. And I think Todd Bowles' press conference was him trying to put it out there to ownership that he still wants the job. He's going to make changes, and he deserves to keep this job because he's won 3 NFC division championship or titles. Which, I think is hilarious because I'm like, the Panthers sucked, the Falcons sucked, and the Saints sucked. You were handed Tom Brady, and you couldn't even get a winning record. Tom Brady, you gave Tom Brady his first and only losing season. God, man, and you haven't really done much since. We've limped into the playoffs every year. We've only won 1 playoff game. It was against the Eagles, so that felt good. 1 playoff game out of 4. You are exactly middling. You're exactly average. Todd Bowles, your record with us is average. I think he's 36 and 36 or something like that, if you include the playoffs. You're average, dude. You are what your record says you are. And if the Glazers want to continue being average, they're going to retain him as the head coach. The only reason why I'm saying they would keep him is because of the Manchester United stuff. They might have too much on their plate right now. But then again, at the same time, they might be like, we're looking for 1 coach. Might as well look for 2. Don't know. The Panthers, the Falcons, they fired Raheem Morris. They are interviewing Clint Kubiak. That was like the first interview they put up. Man, I tell you, if they do keep him, they've got to demand changes. They got to. And I think one of the changes they need to demand is he's got to bring in a defensive coordinator or elevate Larry Foote to, play calling or something. Special teams coach got to go. There's no doubt about that. I think Todd Bowles would have done that regardless. Josh Grizzard, y'all know me. I don't have a problem with him. I think he was better than Dave Canales was, but he wasn't as good as Liam Cohen. I'd like to see him get another year, just see what he could do. But if he does get fired, I'm not going to be too upset. It's not like I was watching him going, wow, this is fantastic stuff. He did have some good stuff, but I'm not going to cry on my pillow. Let's put it that way. But you just can't. They've got to see that this defense is just going nowhere. It's just going backwards. And this is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We don't have bad defenses. We're a defensive organization. I did like Yaya stepping up and saying that. Here's something I'd like y'all's opinion on this, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Everybody's talking about coaches. What about Phillip Rivers? Now bear with me on this one. Bear with me. See, I think that head coaches they have to be above everything. They have to be people. You got to be able to manage people. So to me, that's what a head coach does. Head coach, because you got to get defensive coordinators, you got to get assistants, you got to get offensive coordinators, depending, if you're going to call one of the sides, you don't have to, but you got to deal with a lot of coaches. And a lot of these coaches, they got aspirations. They want your job. They want to move up. They want to go somewhere else, get better jobs, all that good stuff. So you have to manage all that stuff, and you have to deal with players too. If you're going to cut players, you got to talk with them, and you just have to be able to deal with people. And I think the good coaches are leaders of men. I got into leadership for a while and, just studying it and all that good stuff. And there's an intangible thing with good leaders where, they don't necessarily have to be liked. They don't have to be the type of guy you want to have a beer with or any of that crap. But they do have to be respected. And they have to be, there's just something there where, you will fight for them. You might not even like them as a person. You might not even like them. You might want them to be fired, but you're still going to fight for them. They have an ability to make guys go in the trenches for them. And I think Phillip Rivers has kind of got that leadership ability. I've heard a lot of guys talk about him, ex-players and stuff like that. I mean, for years I've been hearing it, and how he is just such a really good guy, and he just gets guys amped up and makes guys want to play for him. And I was just like, I wonder if he would make a good head coach. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. As far as any other coordinators and stuff, I want an offensive head coach. I am sick of these defensive head coaches. They just never work out. I'm just tired of them. I want a good defensive coordinator. I'd love to have Jim Schwartz here, but that'd be a lateral move for him. And anyhow, those are my thoughts. Tennessee Titans are going to be interviewing Raheem Morris for their vacant head coaching job. That's crazy. I think that's just a Rooney Rule thing. I don't know. I think Raheem Morris is done as a head coach. He's had 2 stints. They've both been pretty disastrous. The Colts have claimed linebacker John Bullock off waivers. That's weird. Their season's over. Our season's over. They just claimed him. That was weird. Rachaad White, our esteemed running back, he posted on Instagram that pretty much a farewell message to Buccaneer fans. Now, I've seen this happen before where they'll post messages like that, and then during the offseason, things will work out. I would like to retain Rachaad White. To me, he's just so good at pass protection. And that's just such a rare thing for running backs. There's very few running backs in the league that are elite level pass protectors. Rachaad White's one of them. He's not the best running back in the world. He's a good pass catcher. He's great on the swing routes and stuff like that. I'd like to see more wheel routes with him. I think he's got the speed for wheel routes, but I don't think he's going to come back. We got a long list of free agents. I think a lot of them are going to be gone. I've heard people say they don't want Cade Otton back. I like Cade Otton. But, I'm not going to cry about any of these guys, to be honest with you. I'd like Mike Evans to come back. Really, he's the only one. Him and Levante David. Everybody said Levante David was slow, and I don't care. I'll take a 75% Levante David over any linebacker in the league. He messed up this year. He messed up last year. But I'm telling you, I think it's more of the scheme and what Todd Bowles has put on his plate than it is Levante David himself. But I don't think he's going to come back. Mike Evans, I do think he's going to come back. But other than that, there's really nobody I'm going to cry about. There's plenty of players I'd like to see come back, but nobody that I'm sweating. Coaches fired so far. Pete Carroll from the Raiders is gone. That didn't shock anybody. Jonathan Gannon from the Cardinals, he's gone. That didn't shock anybody either. Raheem Morris again from the Falcons. The Falcons cleared house, man. They got rid of their general manager, Fontenot. They got rid of Rich McKay. He was the CEO. Now, that was a weird one. He's been with the team ever since he's left with us and Gruden. But he's been with the Falcons for 20-some years. But they said he was just given a different position. but he wasn't really that involved with the Falcons. I mean, he had the title of CEO, but he was doing some other stuff. I think he's got like a management company or something. And he's effectively gone from the Falcons, which is weird. But like I said, they're already interviewing Clint Kubiak for the head coaching position. That's going to suck if they get him. And Raheem Morris is being interviewed by the Titans, but the Titans are interviewing everybody. I think Raheem Morris is just, they're fulfilling the Rooney Rule with that one. Browns got rid of Kevin Stefanski. We all kind of saw that one coming. I need to mute my thing. Welcome to the crew, John. Brian Callahan from the Titans. He got fired in October. What's up, Dragon? Giants got fired Brian Daboll November. So all these job openings are there. There's going to be a lot of swapping out going on. I'm seeing a lot of defensive coordinators being looked into. There are a lot of good defensive coordinators out there. This might be a defensive coordinator year as far as head coaching is going. That's good. I want an offensive coordinator. But there it is. I've got the all 22 queued up and chopped up. If anybody wants to look at any of the plays, let me know. We'll scout some stuff out. I just didn't have it in me to watch the all 22 today. Plus, it's my daughter's third birthday, so we had a birthday party for her. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. And yesterday, I didn't even feel like watching football yesterday. I did, but I didn't feel like it. All right, what are y'all talking about over here in chat? I'm way behind, so I'm just going to jump in like halfway. If I jump in and I miss something you wanted me to respond to previously, go ahead and respond it. Yeah, Rachaad White is probably going to go to the Commanders. He did post a picture of him and Jaden Daniels on Instagram. They played in college together. They're good friends, so good luck to him if he goes there. The Redskins, the Deadskins. All right, where we go? Oh, a Broke Tackle. I appreciate it, man. Broke says, well, your channel's great. Love your take on our team. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Matter of fact, I'll put that out there. Don't everybody get jealous. Just got to put Broke up on the screen. The man knows talent when he sees it. Oh, David, what's up? Pewter Optimist. What's up, Gotti? Yep, that's exactly what I thought too. I think I said it. Yeah, JPP pulled Yaya aside and told him he was going to be the man. Yeah, and it's funny because if you go back and watch when we first got Yaya, I was like, wow, man, he reminds me of JPP. He plays very similar to him as far as his standing and his movements and stuff. What's up, Joe? Yeah, Panthers crying. Yeah, there was all kinds of posts about the refs. And I'm not gonna lie, they were right in some of that stuff. It was a very horribly officiated game. But you could look. I mean, we deserved to win that game. We were the better team. We almost crapped it off like we normally do there at the end, but we held on. I think they really kind of shot themselves in the foot. I don't know if you could blame the game on the refs. I do think the Bucs were the better team in that game. I think we were the better team in the first time we beat them. Of course, let me see. We were the better team in the Patriots. We were a better team against the Saints and the Panthers and the Dolphins. We should have won those games. That's tough, man. It's a tough season. It's tough season. Marty said, I don't know. This is true. He said, I don't know what's worse, keeping Todd or Todd's brothers. And if you watch my podcast, I've been saying this ever since I've been doing this stuff. To me, coaches that don't do good pressers is really a disrespect to the fans, because it's the only time they talk to us. And that's what they're doing. They're talking to us, especially us diehard fans that watch pressers. The average fan, they don't watch that stuff. But, that's where we get information from the coaches. And to me, the good coaches are the ones that they talk to the fans through the pressers, And when I see coaches that come out there like Belichick did and, like Parcells used to do and the way Todd Bowles do, where they just they act like it's an inconvenience to them and everything. And I'm just like, dude, man, that's how you feel towards the fans. Because that's the fans listening to that, And Todd kind of said that about the fans too in his presser with this. He was like, I don't really care what the fans think. I mean, he was like, it's not my job as a coach to worry about what fans think. I'm worried about the team winning. I was like, whoa there, buddy. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't like that as a fan. I don't want my head coach saying, yeah, I don't care what fans think. Like, you better care what I think. I mean, even if you don't mean it, you need to say it. And him giving the same responses all the time. Now Todd would throw some stuff out there and, he never really BS'd. He wouldn't say stuff that he didn't mean, really. He said a lot of coach speak and everything, but he would say some nuggets here and there. And he was generally spot on when he said those things. So I'll give him that credit. But man, his delivery is crap. To me, Bruce Arians was the best. I liked Bruce Arians. He was number one. I've always liked John Gruden, though John Gruden just kind of exhausts me if you listen to him for any length of time. I actually get tired just watching him. I'm like, oh man, how's he got all this energy? I loved Raheem Morris's press conferences. I loved Greg Schiano press conferences. But generally, a lot of these coaches, man, they don't put anything into it. They don't like doing it. And I'm just like, man, talk to the fans, because that's what you're doing. You're talking to the fans. Dirk Cutter was crap at it. Lovie Smith was the worst. Tony Dungy was not good at it. Todd Bowles is not good at it. Oh, is Kate in here? Kate! Rampage, what's up, brother? Oh, congratulations. You got third place in the fantasy football. Read off the winners. Adam was first place, Creamsicle Crushers. And then, was it Adam? Where'd it go? Oh, yeah. Second place was Danny. Danny Spies, the Animals, and then third place was On the Hunt, Rampage. Close games. Next year we're gonna be much more serious about fantasy football. And again, I complained about Todd Bowles and his lack of effort in the team and all that this year. I'm just as guilty though. Had a new baby. I've got an excuse. But just like there are excuses with injuries and everything, we're going to do a lot more this offseason. We're going to do a lot more next year. I did this chat stuff over here, and I don't know if you noticed, but you can see it says, right there, it's got the YouTube thing. The reason why I did this is because I was going to do multi-streaming on a bunch of different platforms and, just try to really get a good and we did got the forums going on the website. We had the fantasy football and that stuff. And then I just kind of didn't focus on it, got distracted with birthing stuff. So, anyhow, all this stuff is going to get done, and we're going to have a good crew. We're going to have a bunch of good scallywags on here. So y'all bear with me. I'm going to do like Bowles. I'm going to evaluate during the off season and, we're going to make some changes, but it's all going to be good stuff. It's all going to be good. It's going to be a good year for us, man. And I'm telling you, I still think, I don't know. I haven't looked at the responses here. I still think Todd Bowles is probably going to get the can, but we'll see. We'll see. Rivers needs to start as a position coach. Yeah, that'd be great. A quarterback coach. I think we go, but he'd be out there You know, be like, no, you ain't doing that right. Let me show you. And he'd grab the ball and show. It'd probably be really good. Somebody talked about Josh McCown. I'm like, I don't know. I think Tom had said Raheem Morris. I'm a big no on that one, just because, we fired the guy. I'm not a big fan of firing players or coaches and bringing them back. It just doesn't. To me, it's usually worse. But yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. Paige Rivers needs to start as a position coach. Be called with John Gruden. See, now that's one I'm very intrigued about, but I just don't know how it would work. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know if John Gruden's got the mindset for it anymore or whatever. It's kind of, but again, there was a lot of bad blood between Gruden and the Glazers. And subconsciously, back there in the back of your mind. But Gruden has really expressed a lot of love with the Buccaneers. He stayed in Tampa. He's got his office in Tampa. He's really been vocal about how much he loves the Buccaneers and everything. And, so, I wouldn't be mad about it. Let's put it that way. LaFleur, yeah, I love LaFleur. Yeah, I want one of these young offensive coordinators, man. Your dog fired you. All right, I got to catch up with you. I'm way behind. All right, I'm gonna start. Zebra, what's up, brother? I'm feeling sad and I'm angry. I know I don't appear that way, but that's how I am. I always get to feeling better when I talk to you guys, but I'm sad and angry. I'm sangry, as Raheem Morris would say. I'm sangry. It's not wishful thinking, but I am of the opinion that Todd Bowles is going to be fired. I know everybody wants it. There's very few people I've talked to that are like, no, we should keep Todd Bowles or are adamantly standing up for him. Let's put it that way. The Glazers are extremely unpredictable. They've never fired a coach right away on Black Monday. They did fire Cutter 3 hours after the game against Atlanta in, what was that, 2017, 2018? But it was after they had met with him, and they haven't met with Todd Bowles yet. So they always seem to generally want to meet with them and kind of get a feel for them or whatever, or fire them in person. I don't know. I don't know what their deal is, but anyhow, I'm still of the opinion that Todd Bowles' presser today was him trying to publicly convince the Glazers to keep him on. And it's not set in stone. Let's put it that way. Oh yeah, Joe. I loved that Seattle game. Was so great. It was the best game of the year that I watched, like total of all the games I watched. And there were some good games this year. Seattle played some really good games. Some of the best games the year were Seattle. But that Seattle's Buccaneers game was just great, man. The throwback uniforms, it was amazing watching it on All 22. I really enjoyed watching it there. Just the similarities, how both of our teams were so similar. It was just really fun. That was a good game, man. Oh, is Heather in there? Hey, Heather. Thank you. Yeah, she had a great birthday. It was really the first birthday she's had that she was kind of aware of what was going on, and we kind of surprised her. We mentioned it yesterday, but today we were like, it's your birthday, it's your birthday. And she didn't really know what we were talking about, I don't think. But then Danny got her a fantastic cake. It was a Peppa Pig. She loves Peppa Pig and Bluey. She loves anything that's not human. She's not a people person. She likes her animals. But Molly got her a fantastic Peppa Pig cake with the Peppa Pig characters on it, and they were swinging. And she loved that thing. And then she really attacked her presence and was ripping them open. And, it was really good. And we had some other kids over, and they ended up playing all day with her, and I was able to get some work done, so that was good. Yeah, Dungy built a defensive culture in Tampa. Yeah, and I think Leroy Selman, being the he really cemented Tampa as a defensive team, and then Dungy came in and just made it a spectacularly. I still say to this day that Tampa's 90s, early 2000 defense was the best defense ever. Watching them play every Sunday, and this was back before Sunday Ticket really, and you go to the bars and watch, and the people in the bars would be like, man, we don't want to play y'all today. We're scared of your defense. Guys always get hurt. Y'all always just stomp people with your defense. And we did. Every Sunday. It was always more fun to watch the defense than it was to watch the offense. When the defense came on the field, everybody's watching TV. When the offense came on the field, that's when everybody used the bathroom, got food and all that good stuff. Except for Mike Allstott. But yeah, defense, man. I'm a defensive guy. That's the reason why I became a Buccaneers fan. Hardy Nickerson. I started off playing receiver and eventually moved to defense because I realized I like hitting people. I found that out doing Oklahoma drills. I was like, wow, I like this. So I've always been a defensive guy. We're not going anywhere, Kate. Are you going somewhere? Where? Gosh, I'm so far behind in the chat. All right, I'm just going to catch up. All right, if you got anything to say to chat, say it now. Who's the best baby maker, Phillip Rivers or Ralph? He's got 10 kids, right? And he's got grandkids. I don't have grandkids yet. Oh, I saw that, Marty. Yeah. Tristan was like, he was kind of like, if Bowles gets fired, he gets fired. I found that interesting, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, that smash mouth defensive football, it was just amazing. It was amazing. And like the greatest show on turf when we played them in the 99 NFC Championship, and they were putting up, I think that year was the year they broke the record for the most points per game. And then we played them, and I think they ended up scoring like 9 points or something, 12. I mean, we just, I love that. I love watching that. I love watching defense because defense is it's hard. Offense is fun, but to me, defense is the heart of football. Tom, you didn't like Oklahoma drills? I was so scared the first time I did it. And I ended up going up against the toughest guy on the team. And he was huge. He was a big dude. And I was skinny, man. I was a little scrawny dude, man. But I've always been tenacious, whatever. And I was so scared. And the first time I did it, I ended up doing well. I mean, I didn't get clobbered. Let's put it this way. And, everybody thought I was going to get destroyed and I didn't. And so, everybody like kind of cheered, and there was just something where I was just like, when I hit them, because, playing receiver, I was always trying to avoid getting tackled. And, I was relatively good at that, because I'm, shifty. But there was just something about hitting, and I was just like, I like this. This is, and, I took like training for tackling, I had a coach. I would we'd go to the side and everything. And I'd be like, I really want to learn how to tackle really well and all that good stuff. That's why modern day tackling drives me crazy. Because everything I learned, I never see or rarely see anymore. You know, I hate modern day tackling. I hate it, especially our team. I can't stand it. Can't stand it. Yeah, we did get screwed in that game, man. That Emmanuel rule, that was tough. And we were in it with Sean King. That's hilarious to think about. Sean King was our quarterback, and we're in the NFC Championship. That's how good our defense was. Mm. Uh, you put up a poll, right? You're leaving. Patriots, Bills, Seattle. You're joking. Tom, you ain't going nowhere. You like the suffering. If you're going to go anywhere, probably go back to the Patriots because I think they're building something over there. It's going to be pretty good for a long time. Seattle, I don't know how long they're going to be. I think they're kind of a stopgap. The coordinator's going to get snatched up as a head coach. Sam Darnold ain't going to be around forever. So, who knows? Walk the plank. Where was that? Oh boy, I'm not sure what you're referencing there. Todd Bowles saying him win 3 division titles speaks for itself. Sounding kind of like Todd was trying to sell himself to Glacier. Yes, exactly. That's what I felt like. I think he is. I do. He didn't seem really confident to me. It might have just been me projecting that on him, but I definitely got the feeling that he was kind of pleading his case. Yeah, that's not a good combination for Oklahoma drills there. That's one thing I love about football, though, Tom. And I talk about it all the time. I use football in daily references to philosophy and just life in general. I like always come back to football because there's so many applications to how football is a good life lesson. But one of the things I love about football, and I've always loved about football, is it's not dependent on genetic ability. It's, like basketball, you got to be tall or you got to be slim and athletic and have good eye-hand coordination or something like that. There's literally, you've got to be genetically gifted to play basketball. Same thing with soccer. Same thing with hockey. There's very, very few sports where genetics don't play a large role in being able to play that sport. Football is the only sport that I'm aware of where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're slow, if you're tall, if you're small, if you're short, if you're fat, if you're skinny, if you're strong, if you're fast, if you're slow. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about grit and mindset. There's a place for everybody in football. I've always felt that way, and I love that about the sport. You could be dumb, you could be smart, you could be fat, you could be skinny, you could be 7 foot tall, you could be 3 foot tall. It doesn't matter. If you can play football, they're going to put you on a team. And I love that. I absolutely love that. To me, it's why it's an American sport, because it's just, it's just like, hey, if you can make this team win, we'll put you on the team. I don't care. Oh, you hold 4 years old, hold that grudge against the Rams to this day. I tell you, we were talking about that when the Rams got beat by the Panthers 2 weeks ago. We were like, the Rams have just screwed us over since 1999. That's been, and we've never gotten them back. They have knocked us out of the playoffs numerous times. They've beaten us in the regular season, and then they go and they let the Panthers win the division basically by losing to the Panthers. The Rams just screwed. Yeah, I don't hate the Rams. I don't. Not like I did the Eagles for many years, or the Saints or the Panthers or the Falcons. I don't hate them like that. I got respect for the Rams, but man, I want to beat them, man. I want to meet them in the playoffs and beat them multiple times, like we do with the Eagles. I definitely have a rivalry with the Rams. I respect the crap out of them, though. Good team. Good head coach. Yeah, MMA, same way. Yeah. Early MMA, before they did the divisions and stuff like that, when it was early UFC, and it was basically a free-for-all. Oh, man, I used to love watching it back then. I followed it quite extensively. I've got my best friend, actually, he's a big MMA guy. When me and Molly first met, I was big into it, but I have to limit my sport watching or I'll end up spending my whole life involved with sports. So I kind of have to sparingly watch UFC now. Boxing is the same way. I love boxing, man. I've been watching boxing my whole life, but I had to cut back on that. Now I only watch the big matches. What's Molly's best dish coming out of the kitchen? Man, that's a tough one there, right there, man. She's got so many of them. I really like her lasagna. She does like a sausage lasagna. It's really good. She makes the chicken and rice with beans that my daughter and me, we eat so much of it, we almost get sick. Man, that's a tough question there, bro. You support all the Florida teams, Tom? I can't support Jacksonville right now. I'm still pissed at Liam. Can't do it. Oh, is food ready? Yeah, she made, man, that chicken and rice is so good. Is it okay in here? Okay, what's up, man? Oh, yeah, that's a good point there, Joe. Yeah, they didn't get to celebrate on our field. That would have been tough to handle. I hear you, Kate. Yeah, it's going to be a struggle this offseason if he's retained. It really is. I think the whole fan base is just going to kind of do what you're talking about, just kind of check out, you know? So many people I've talked to are just like, with that sentiment exactly, they're just like, I can't do this anymore. If Todd Bowles is a coach the next year, I might not even watch football. I'm not going to go that far. We'll try to make it interesting here on the channel. Yeah, if you're fast and elusive, did you do any special teams? Did you do returning? Uh, we had a couple guys. I did it a couple times. I was pretty good at it, but uh, my coaches never wanted me to get hurt because I was very reckless. But we did have some guys that were small and elusive, and man, they were fun to watch. Special teams. Good point, MK. I didn't notice that. Yeah, Bowles had no Bucks attire on in the press conference. Ah, good point. I didn't notice that. Yeah, yeah, Zebra, he's way too hard-headed on his scheme. I mean, that's, if you got to get up there and say every week, the players just got to execute it better. Eventually, I mean, either you got to come to the conclusion that, your scheme is not executable. You got to come up to that conclusion, or you're just way too stubborn and you'll never be elite. All right, Craig, take it easy, brother. He's probably left by now. You liked it after the weight divisions? Man, back when we used to do the brawls where it was just a free for all and the guys fought multiple times a night. that was some crazy stuff. I did like it when they set the time limits though and started getting them up off the mat, because some of those clinches would last for 20 minutes, and you're just like, it got boring. Heather cannot respect the Rams. I get it. I get it. Yeah, I can't stand the Saints. Can't stand the Saints. Chiefs, I I disliked them, but I really like Mahomes as a person, and I like Andy Reid. So it's really hard for me to dislike them. I dislike them for them winning so much, but and I don't like how Mahomes has turned the league into this crazy backyard football quarterback and stuff. I really don't. It's kind of like when Muhammad Ali kind of busted on the scene, and then next thing you know, every boxer in every division was doing that rope-a-dope and alternative boxing style. I hated it. I hated it. Matt Hughes, yeah. Yeah, you're old school. Chuck. Chuck Liddell. I love Chuck Liddell. Dinner's almost ready. Okay. I didn't know. I didn't think you were making dinner. I was going to finish my Jimmy John's. Kate, Kate still, she's still, she's so mad at the Glazers and Bowlers, she's going to watch the Jaguars and pretend that's us. That's hilarious. I might do that too. Because it could have been us. We were this close. Uh, Liam Cohen's got that it factor. You know what I'm saying? He's a leader of men. I watched his, I think Rampage sent it to me, the locker room afterwards, and the way he was just talking and the way the guys were, just like hanging on every word and, yelling in the background. And when he'd say stuff, I'm like, there's just something about the guy, and he's all talking about, I love you guys. Y'all are the reason why, just getting them all amped up and stuff, man. I was like, we could have had that. Jerk chicken and rice. Yeah, there it is. Prince Charming, yeah. He's funny. It's hard to see him and not think of that. Yeah, I think we're going all defense. There's absolutely no way that we can draft another wide receiver, or we got to draft defense. We got to repair our linebackers, outside linebackers, inside linebackers. We need defensive line depth. I think cornerback. We got two young guys there now. I don't know if we're going to want to add any more young guys. We'll probably get some free agents to come in, some veterans or something. But we got a lot of work to do with this defense, man. A lot of work. So I think the draft is going to be large majority defense. Yeah, I found my draft notes, and it was Mikael Williams, he went to the 49ers. He ended up on injured reserve, though, so he only played a handful of games. He was out for the season, tore his ACL. But Malachi Starks and Jalen Walker were my other two guys. And the Falcons robbed us. That's why I said Falcons had the best draft in the season, man. They just really did a good job with. They picked up Pierce, too, which I had Pierce as I wouldn't be mad if we got him. He was the fastest and most athletic, very fluid. But I felt like he was meh in his execution. Xavier Watts, yeah. So yeah, we gotta start getting on our draft. I'm probably going to give it a little bit before I start diving into the draft, the college film for the draft guys. Man, what do we got? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 head coach openings right now. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if the Glazers keep Bowles. But if they keep him, they're gonna demand. Yeah, Shiana. Yeah, and I thought it was a pretty cool press conference. The one at the airport. He didn't talk crap about the ownership and everything. That was cool. Yeah, what was it? It was some type of like conference hall or room. Heather's still talking about her hate for the Rams. Is he coaching Steve DeBerg? Or are you talking about when he was playing? So we got Seattle's got the bye. Rams and Panthers are playing. Panthers beat the Rams once already. We'll see. That's going to be an interesting game. That's January 10th, which is Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Hope the Rams curb stomp them. Oh, I got family in that are Panthers fans too. They're going to be here. We're going to have to watch that game with them. Okay. Green Bay, Chicago's playing that day too. Who do we want to win that one? Do we care? I kind of, I don't like either one of those teams. San Francisco, Philadelphia. I hope San Francisco wins that one. That's going to be Sunday at 4:30. Houston, Pittsburgh is Monday. They got a Monday night game? Huh. They got a Monday night playoff game. Houston, Pittsburgh. That's going to be on ESPN with their crappy coverage. January 11th, Sunday. It's going to be Chargers and the Patriots. And then Then we got Buffalo, Jacksonville. Man, Denver's got the bye in the AFC. How about Denver? Gosh, I never thought. I always thought Drew Brees was the reason why the Saints were as good as they were for as long as they were, but apparently Sean Payton's a pretty good coach. I mean, I knew he was an all right coach, but dang. The turnaround he did at Denver, good grief. They hit the jackpot with him. But again, he's got those guys playing. They're out there playing smash mouth football. Buffalo, Jacksonville, man. I just can't root for Liam Cohen right now. Chargers, New England. That's a tough one too. I like both those teams. I really like Drake May. I like what Vrabel's doing with them. Watching that all 22 when we played them, he's got them. They're just playing mistake-free football. That's fun to watch. Houston, Pittsburgh. I want to see Houston win that one. It's not a Steelers fan. Jimmy John's is an insult. I know everybody got me on the public subs kick, but Molly was right by Jimmy John's today, so I was like, pick me up a gargantuan. I love those things. Jags versus Panther for the anti-Todd Bowles Super Bowl. Could you imagine how that would drive the Glazers insane? Oh, yeah, Tom. Yeah, that's why I forgot I wasn't speaking to you anymore because of that. Doesn't hate the Saints. And he likes Drew Brees. Yeah, I'd love to know, Houdini, what actually happened with the Liam Cohen stuff, But I mean, he got offered what, $12 million to be the head coach. I mean, he's getting paid. He's like one of the top paid coaches. So, Khan just threw a bunch of money at him. It was one of those. I think he was like, "What's it going to take to get you here? Give me a number." But yeah, he did us dirty, man. We were so excited. I mean, the chat and everybody, we were, for like 2 days, we were celebrating and stuff. And then, bam. It's like a knife in the heart. And then Canales. I really liked Canales. I mean, Canales has got one of those. He's I don't know if he's a leader of men, but he's definitely a people person. And I knew he was going to be a head coach one day. There was no doubt about that. But for him to go to the Panthers, yeah, screw that guy. Okay, you can go anywhere else. Just don't go to our division. Molly's going to start taking orders. We're going to do Buccaneers Eats. Yeah. Our linebackers are inside linebacker. We're going, if David retires, which I'm pretty sure he's going to. We hurting at inside linebacker. My draft guys were great last year. Yeah, Watson's doing good. Yeah, the Falcons running back Algier, he's never fumbled. That's crazy. I've had him on my fantasy football league for like 3 years. Always end up picking him up because he's, consistently gets you 10 points every week. I never play him though. Yeah, I've been meaning to message Rampage about film if he's, if he needs some, I'll send him some. Right, Joe? Every time I feel like crap, over football after chat. I feel good. It's a good group of people, man. We got the best team in the world, the best fans. You know, we get to laughing and all that good stuff, and everybody brings up good points, and always makes me feel better, man. I appreciate you guys. Be Cole, Be Cole's cosplaying as Drew Brees, putting a smudge on his face. That's funny. Yeah, yeah, Zebra. Yeah, we covered that. I don't know if you're here for that. And I really like that Yaya went on the record with it and said that that's something he's going to confront Bowles about. I was like, ooh, uh, good stuff. But yeah, it makes sense. It's just, when you got a cerebral head coach, that's why I don't like clipboard carriers for coaches. They're too focused on the numbers and the analytics and the scheme and all that stuff. And they don't care about the tackling and the blocking and the grind and the grit and the mindset, the things that matter. And it's good that the players have recognized that. I mean, I would imagine the players, they like the time off, you know, as we all do, but they also know that it's not helping them. They know that this stuff is rough. It's hard. You got to build your endurance. You got to, just walking through stuff or seeing it on paper or film is not the same as getting out there and doing it, and they know. So I was very happy that guys were coming out and saying that. Khalil Mack's going to be a free agent. He's old. Yeah, he's the leader. He's got that mindset. He's an old school player too. I like Khalil Mack. Who did he play for this year? Was it the Dolphins? Chargers. Where did I get the Dolphins from? Was he there last year? No, he's never been. Huh. That's wild to think he's been in the league for 13 years. He came in with Johnny Manziel, right? And gosh, who was it? Texans picked him. Who was it? The defensive guy. Oh, it was right there on the tip of my tongue. Clowney. Yes. Thank you, Zebra. Yes. Which Clowney, he's one of those guys, had all the physical ability. I mean, he's just a mountain of a man. Kind of like Chase Young. Chase Young is just a big dude, extremely well proportioned. They look like normal people, but just sized up like 1 or 2 points. But he just didn't have the grit, the tenacity that you needed, you know. I never thought Clowney was Khalil Mack is a football guy. He's out there grinding it. Clowney just never seemed like he had the fortitude for the game. Yeah, Crosby coming to us. Spytech was talking about they're not wanting to give up on Crosby, but to me it sounded like Crosby had given up on them, and they're like trying to talk him into coming back to the team. So you never know, Joe. I mean, I'd do a player swap with them. You know, we got a lot of. Yeah, we've always had a AFC bond with those guys, the Raiders and the Patriots, and now we've got even more with Spytech and Brady over there. We could we could definitely make a deal with them. I would not be mad about that at all. Hassan Reddick. He wasn't horrible, you know. He just wasn't worth the $15 million we paid him. I mean, I didn't think he played bad. He just didn't play $15 million worth. You know, same thing with Jamel Dean and, you know, all these guys that we give it, you know, Zion, you know, everybody we paid on the defense just didn't play it. Just didn't play up to their paycheck, man. People lining up to take my plate. You can come take my lunch money. All right, let me get off here. We'll probably do game film tomorrow if y'all want to get on here. Hopefully we'll have some news to talk about with the Buccaneers, with some firings maybe, some change. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know when Todd Bowles says he's meeting with ownership. He said later this week. So could be whenever. But I'm not confident he's keeping his job. You know, just too much. The Glazers are just too plugged into fan sentiment. And I've never known them to keep a coach when the fan base turns against them. You know, they just never have. I mean, but then again, like I said, the Glazers are totally unpredictable. They like it that way. Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm still on I think Todd Bowles is going to be fired bandwagon. Send the Raiders Reddick, Dean, and a second. That would be perfect. That would be 100% perfect. I would take that in a heartbeat, or I'd do that in a heartbeat. Maybe not a second. A fifth. Styles, linebacker from Ohio State. All right, I'm going to write him down, do some game film on him. Might even do it here on the channel. Maybe we can do like the Browns did, get a monster linebacker. Unfortunately, I feel like linebackers are going the way of the dodo bird, so you're just not getting these awesome linebackers anymore. Ohio State, though. He could come in with Egbuke. Him and Egbuke could watch the games together. All right, I got to get off here. Guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out, and thanks for making me feel better, man. Like I said, I was very, very sad and angry. Feel much better now, though. Love talking with you guys. Tomorrow night, we're going to try to get on, and we'll look at a game film from the game. If you got anything you want to watch, one of the things I want to watch is, you know, Levante David was called for defensive illegal touching or something like that when we had them backed up on like the 3-yard line and gave them a first down and whatever. They never showed it because horrible coverage. And I want to look at that and see if we can see it. But if y'all got some plays you want to look at, write them down, keep them in mind. Let me know. We'll look tomorrow. I'm going to try to look at the game film, probably do defense, and we'll go over that tomorrow. Anyhow, appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. And until next time, go Bucs. Fireballs. Oop. Press the wrong button. I thought I was being cute.